So, good morning, students. Myself, Professor P. Bingle, and today we are to discuss the new topics in automobile engineering. And the name of this new topics is what is a carburetors. So, you see, guys, here what is carburetor? A simple carburetor consists of different parts such as float chamber. We know that, okay, fuel jet, venturi, like that. So, what is the main function which is carburetor is required to perform are to keep a small reserve fuel at a constant heat. And second is to vaporize the fuel to prepare a homogeneous air fuel mixtures. This is the main role of the carburetors. Another third rule is what is to supply a correct amount of the air fuel mixture at the correct strength under all condition of a load and speed of the engines. This is called as the carburetors. So this is the simple diagram of a carburetors. So if you observe in carburetor, what is here? This is the nozzle will be there. There is this venturi meters. There is a fuel from pump. There is a what is fuel jet and this throttle valves to adjust or to regulate the flow of the air fuel mixtures. So if you observe here, in that a simple carburetor consists of different parts such as float chambers, main fuel jet. Okay, this is main. This is called as the main fuel jet. Then throttle valve. You observe here, guys. This throttle valve. Venturi. This is our venturi meters. Okay. So there is a float in the float chamber with the help of this fuel pump. Okay, if you observe here, the fuel pump, fuel is supplied to the float chambers. So through this fuel pump, the fuel is supplied inside the float chamber, guys. Okay, from the fuel tank through the strainer, there is a strainer will be there to filter this fuels. Okay, we can call this assembly simple a carburetor. This is called as the simple carburetors. So what is the working of simple carburetor? Just we have to discuss here now. So guys, as you know, there is a float chamber in simple carburetors. There is a one float chamber there in simple carburetors. Okay. There is open to the atmosphere. Where is open? It is directly open into the atmosphere. Okay. The float chamber is directly open to the atmospheres. Okay. It keeps the atmospheric pressure in the float chambers. So what type of the pressure will be there? There is the atmospheric pressure is maintained, guys. So fuel from external fuel tank is supplied to the float chambers. Whenever the fuel is supplied inside this float chamber with the help of the fuel pump, there is a fuel pump will be there. This fuel from the fuel tank is filtered using the strainer, which remove any solid particle from the fuels. So whatever the miscontaminations in a fuel, just with the help of the strainer, this all the particle will be removed. Now the fuel from the float chamber is supplied to the main nozzles. There is a nozzle will be there. Through the nozzle, the fuel is supplied, guys, which is the part of the jet tube. There is this fuel jet tube from the float chamber. After the straining, the fuel is passing through the nozzle, guys. This flow of fuel from the float chamber to the main nozzle is carried out by the main fuel jet. Okay, main fuel jet. The engine sucks the air during the time the engine is start and the air is sucked from from atmospheres. Okay, through this choke valve. There is a one choke valve will be there, that is called as throttle valve. The air passes through the venturi, and as soon as the air is entered inside this venturi meter, guys, there is a venturi. The air is entered here. It causes the reduction area of the cross sections. So whenever the in the venturi, we know the area is continuously in decreasing order like that. Okay, continuously cross section, reduce the cross section area of the throat of venturi. Due to this, the pressure at the main nozzle decrease and velocity of the air is increases. So we know there is a Q is equal to A upon V. So Q is equal to A is equal to V. Means suddenly there is a decrease the area and velocity of the air is rise will be here. The velocity will be increases because the area is decreases in that venturi section, guys. So this difference in pressure induced at the float chamber and the main nozzle cause the mixture of fuel incoming the atmospheric airs. So increase the velocity of air after the venturi partially vaporize. So because of the high velocity is here at the nozzle sections, we know that venturi intersections, the engine fuel which is then totally evaporated by the heat in intake manifolds of the combustion chamber and cylinder walls. Okay. So carburetor only installed in a petrol engine because petrol engine required govern. Means carburetor are various used in petrol engines. When we open the throttle valve, this throttle valve is open. So here throttle valve is present at the bottom of the jet. You observe here. Okay. It allows the more air from through the venturi tube and more quantity of the air fuel mixture is supplied to the engines. Then after that, various supply it is transferred into the engine, guys. Okay, transfer into the engine cause the engine to develop more powers. Whenever maximum opening the throttle power, maximum amount of the air fuel is passed inside the engines and more power is developed. Okay. So when we close the throttle valve, as soon as we close this throttle valve, guys, what happen? The reverse action takes place and power of the engine is suddenly reduced. Means power of the engine adjusts with the help of this totally a throttle valves. So here what is the nozzle lip in a simple carburetor? If you observe in nozzle lip, so what is here? To avoid the overflow of a fuel from the nozzle, unwanted the fuel which is come out, to avoid the fuel from this float chamber. Okay. So there is a use of this nozzle. The end main nozzle is slightly keep higher than level of the fuel in the float chamber, just slightly above. Okay, the difference level between the tip of the main nozzle and fuel level in the float chamber is called as nozzle lip. That is called as nozzle lip. We call as nozzle lip. You can see the nozzle lip level diagram above. Okay. So what are the limitations? If you consider here, what are the limitations of this simple carburetors? So in these carburetors, the air fuel mixture totally depends upon the position of the throttle valves. It totally depends upon where the throttle valve is depends what is the position of the air fuel mixtures. Another second disadvantages, if you consider here limitations, air fuel ratio decreases when speed of the engine is increases. As soon as if you increase the more speed of the engine, then air fuel ratio is decreases. This is the second limitation. Third is the main limitation or disadvantages of a simple carburetor is that when speed is too low, we get a strong mixture which cause trouble in the ignition of the mixtures. Because when the speed is very less, that time we get the maximum air fuel mixtures and it is very difficult to ignite this mixture. So these are the main limitations of the simple carburetors. Then along with that, there is some applications of these guys. Applications, where is the use? This is only used in small and stationary engine, not any modern engines. So only small engines, or second is what is a stationary engines. Only such type of the engine there is a use of these simple carburetors, not in a modern engines use theirs. Okay, so this is the simple working and construction of the simple carburetors. Now another carburetor, guys, we have the what is the name? It is called as the Zenith Carburetors. So if you observe in Zenith Carburetors, there is some components will be given, guys. If you observe here, what is venturi meters, choke valve, compensating jet, main jet, starting jet, air skew, fuel pump, air fuel mixture to the engine, throttle valves, air in. Okay, so this is a simple construction working of the Zenith carburetor. So you see here, Zenith carburetor is a British carburetors. Means we call another name is what is it is a British carburetors. Okay, which is used by many popular companies. Okay, so it is produced by Zenith Carburetor company, was found in 1910. There is a this company will be formed at this years. So in this carburetor there is no starting problem, and also this carburetor provides the rich mixture during the very high speed. This limitation is avoided from simple carburetor. Means at high speed we get a very rich mixture of air fuels where in high speed of the engines. High speed of the engines. This is the main advantages of these Zenith carburetors. Okay. So following are the list of the components in the Zenith. What is? We know there is a float chamber, then main line. If you observe in the diagram, float chamber, fuel pump, main jet. Okay, this is the main jet will be there, guys. Then a compensating jet. Second, if you observe here, this is the main jet along with this compensating jet. This compensating jets we called as another name is what is this called also the auxiliary jet, guys. Also this compensating jet another name is also auxiliary jet. Starting jet will be there, guys. Yes or no? Yes, you observed here at that position there is a starting jet. Then the reserve or auxiliary chamber will be there. Then another is what is choke will be there, guys. This is the choke valve. You observe there choke valve. Then throttle valve will be there. Okay. So these are the various components of this Zenith carburetor. So first of all, we discuss about what is the constructions. What is the construction of this Zenith carburetor? So in this carburetor, float chamber is connected to the venturi main valve. So this is our completely float chamber is connected where to this venturi meters. You observe there is a venturi will be there, guys. In the main line, the main function of the fuel chamber is to take the fuel from the fuel tank. So from the fuel tank, the fuel is supply. This is the fuel pump supply where inside the complete float chamber, guys. Okay. This fuel chamber has two balls. If you consider there is how many balls, there are the two balls will be there. So here there are two balls, two floats and a spindle. So these are the mechanism is consists inside this carburetor, guys. Then after that there is a one choke. This is a choke valve we observed there. This is a choke will be there. Okay. This there is a choke which when closed restrict the airflow from the carburetors. Whenever the choke is closed, no air is enter inside the carburetor, guys. Okay. So throttle valve is valve between the carburetor and engine which open when fuel is needed by the engines. So this throttle valve is open when you require the fuel and air to the engines. Okay. So fuel from the main lines. If you observe here, guys, main jet, the fuel, these are the linings. Okay, so this fuels from this main lining from the main jet. Okay, main line enter from air fuel mixture through the main jet inside this section through the main jet, guys. Apart from the main jet, there is a compensating jet also. There is a one supporting also. What is the compensating jet will be there, which compensates where more fuel is needed by the engine at high speed. This compensating jet is used when you go for very high speed. At that time this will be compensating by this compensating jets, guys, because that time we require the more amount of the fuel. So this compensating jet gets fuel from the reservoir or auxiliary valves. Okay. Then apart from the compensating jet, it has also starting jet. If you observe, there is also the starting jet will be given along with that, which adds engine at the time of the starting. So when we start the engine from the starting jet, we get this fuels to start the engine. Also get the fuel from the reservoir or auxiliary valve, guys. Okay. So how it will be work? You see here what is the working. What is the working of these Zenith carburetors? How it will work? So at first the fuel from the fuel tank enter into the fuel chambers. The fuel is enter inside this complete of fuel chambers. Okay, which are blocked by a simple by a spindle present in the float chamber. There is a spindle. If you observe, there is a spindle will be, guys. This is the spindle. These are the two balls will be there. Okay, both the sides. So by spindle present in the float chamber, fuel is not needed. This spindle move up and down to block and unblock the fuel supply to the fuel chamber. So this spindle is move up and down, up or down. When you the up, the fuel is enter inside the fuel chamber. When this spindle will be move upward directions. When fuel supply to the fuel chamber is decreases, the two floats come down and two balls also come down with them. Okay, these are the balls will be there. As the balls and spindle are connected like a seesaw, there is a seesaw positions. Here is a one seesaw position is done with the help of this ball, guys. Okay. So when ball come down, the spindle come up and fuel passage, the fuel chamber is unblocked. On the other hand, when the fuel supplies increases in the fuel chamber, two floats come up and the ball also come up. As the ball come up, the spindle come down due to the seesaw connection between the balls and spindle. Okay. And then after that, when spindle come down, the passage is blocked and fuel supply to the fuel chamber is stopped. So as soon as this come down, this supply is stopped and no fuel is enter inside the fuel chamber. How it will be working at low speed? When low speed of the engine, how it is work? You see, at a low speed, when choke is open, when choke valve is open, the air pass through the venturi. The air will be come and pass through the where in venturi meter, guys. Then after that, the pressure is decreased. We know that, and velocity of the air is increases. Since there is a high pressure due to the atmospheric pressure in the fuel chamber, and there is low pressure near venturi, very low pressure because of the high velocity due to the sudden cross section area will be changed here. Okay. So from the fuel chamber through the main line come out to mix with air from the main jet. This fuel mixed with air coming from the check to form mixture, and this mixture has the ratio of what is 50:1. This is the air fuel ratio will be there when air is what is air quantity is 15 and fuel quantity is 1 will be there. So then this mixture reaches the engine after the passing through the throttle, and from this throttle this air fuel mixture is very transferred into the engine, guys. Okay, and open by at low speed. Working at high speed, how it will be work at high speed? This is the working of low speed. Now suppose when you work at high speed, so what happens in high speed? So at a high speed of the vehicle, speed of the engine increases. So we know that the speed of the engine increases, hence producing higher suction. That time we need more suction, more fuel. So due to the higher suction at venturi, more fuel is supplied by the main jet. That time this main jet will be activated and more amount of the fuel is supplied. These are the more amount of the fuel is come out from this main jet line, and fuel is also supplied by the compensating jet or auxiliary jet. So that during the high speed, this both the jet will be activated and larger amount of the fuel is come out from this float chamber through the jet into the venturi. So auxiliary jet get fuel from the auxiliary valve, but the compensating jet can supply the fuel only for sometimes because the fuel stored in auxiliary valve or reservoir is less empty at a high speed. Okay, so this reservoir takes time to store the fuel. Okay, so because there is an orifice between the reservoir and fuel chamber, so very less fuel is allowed to pass from fuel chamber to the reservoir due to the orifice actions. So such type of the mechanism will be happened here. Okay. So at a high speed, fuel is spread from a main jet as well as compensating jet for sometimes. Means you should be remember at high speed compensating jet as well as this main jet will be active. Then another is what is at the time of working. Means working at the time of starting of the engine. When you just starting the engine, what happen inside this Zenith carburetor? So at the time of starting, the throttle valve is almost at close positions. This throttle is almost at a close position during the starting of the engine, guys. So there is very little gap for the fuel to pass through throttle valve at the starting time. Very little gap. This fuel is come out from this throttle valve and supplied to the engine. So for starting, rich mixture is needed by the engine. Means we have to require the proper quantity of the air fuel mixture to run the engines. So what is here? The air from an air filter passes through the gap in the side of the throttle valve. Okay, and the air pass through the gap, velocity of air increase, pressure of air decrease at the upper side of the throttle valve, thereby producing the suction effect of a starting jet. This will be done with the help of the starting jet will be, guys, this action during the starting of the engines. Okay, starting jet, this mechanism, and which place at the top of the throttle valve. The starting jet will be located here, top of the throttle valve. This starting jet also get fuel from the same reservoir from where the compensating jet gets fuel, and then fuel is sprayed by starting jet and mixed with air present about this throttle valves. Okay, and mixed with air present about throttle valve to form rich mixtures, and the ratio of the air fuel is mixture is 11:1. So during the starting, what is the ratio? 11:1. And this rich mixture is reaches the engine and help to engine start. So these are the working of the Zenith carburetor in different situation. guys. Okay. Now another we have the what is Solex carburetors. So what is in Solex carburetor? You see guys here, very simple construction and working of these Solex carburetors. They are this is the another part of the carburetor guys. Let's we discuss now this what is a Solex carburetors. So you see here what is Solex carburetors and how it will be work. So Solex carburetors. Solex carburetor is invented by a what is the name? Marshall Manson. Okay, this is investigated. So what is here we discuss here now? Solex carburetor is a modification of ordinary carburetors. So whatever we have the ordinary carburetor, this is the modifications. The ordinary carburetor works well under a normal condition but does not work in well conditions such as winter and summer seasons. Okay. So idle condition and high acceleration condition, in this situation the Solex carburetor works well. Means this is most used in where in ideal situation and high accelerations. Means high speed of the engine we require, that time we use the which carburetor, we require the Solex carburetors. So how it will be work? Look at here. We know the main function of the carburetors to make the air fuel mixture in the correct proportions. This is the function of the carburetors. The Solex carburetor engine known for its easy of starting and engine superior performance. These are the two advantages of the Solex carburetors. The Solex carburetor engine known for its easy starting and engine superior. The Solex carburetor is a downdraft carburetors. In the downdraft carburetor, air enter from above and exit below. This air is come from where? From above and exit below. If you observe in diagram, the air is come from the top positions and where is come in downward position. That's why it is called as the downdraft carburetors. The main drawback of the simple carburetor is that cannot maintain air fuel mixture for different driving condition, but Solex carburetor may provide different mixture for different driving conditions. This is the best advantages. This variation in the air fuel mixture for different conditions can be achieved using a Solex carburetors. The Solex carburetor can provide a rich mixture engine start and lean mixture when traveling at an economical speed with vehicles. It can also provide different blends for different situations such as engine idling, low speed operation and acceleration etc. guys. So these are the main advantages of this Solex carburetors. In Solex carburetors, the fuel chamber is the part of the collects the fuel from the fuel tank and stored it in the carburetor to form air fuel mixtures. So from fuel tank, the fuel is stored, and then after that what is guys, this fuel chamber has float which is used to maintain the fuel levels. Okay, these are the float chambers. If you observe in diagram, the fuel from the fuel pump is come here. Okay, this is the accelerating pedal, this is the accelerating jet, this is the idling jet, this is the idling screw, this is the bypass orifice, throttle, main venturi, starting jet, starting pedal, byster, for starter discs, venturi, airs, okay, starting disc sections and air screw guys. मनीष नाही उद्या बॅच मध्ये सगळे okay. So this is the simple, if you observe in Solex carburetor guys. So let's we discuss now how it will be work. So fuel from the main jet is mixed with air that come when the choke is open. So there is a choke will be there, the choke is open will be there. Then after that the air fuel mixtures reaches the engine cylinder when a throttle valve is open. Apart from the main jet, There are three more pipelines through which engine cylinder get fuel. They are pilot jets, pump jets and starting routes. So these are the some construction here. The pump jet, if you observe in the diagram, the pump jet, fuel pump, float chamber, like that, air, all are the construction will be theirs. Okay. So these are the working of the Solex carburetors. So this is a simple diagram. So in different situations, the Solex carburetor is working. If you consider working at the time of starting, so at the time of the starting, the rich mixture is required by the engine. The Solex carburetor is starting circuit or byster circuit will be their use. There is a byster, okay, during the starting of the engines to provide a rich mixture at the time of the starting. So this byster circuit will be used during the time. If you observe here, from the byster, you look at this, and the fuel will become in throttle, and there is starting of the engine in starting situations. This byster will be work out. The main function of the bystarter is complete the problem encountered when starting the engine, especially in winter seasons. Okay. This gives the engine a rich mix at the time of starting. The ratio of rich mixture air fuel ratio is how much? It is 11:1 will be there. So where 11 parts are air and 1 part will be fuel. This is the air and 1 part is what is fuel. This is in starting situations. Typically, fuel ratio expected by the engine is 50:1, but required ratio is 11:1 to start the starting of engine. The byster has a flat disc. If you can observe in the construction, it has a flat disc will be there in interior section, guys. If you there, and then after that, the air fuel mixture reaches the engine suction stroke. There is the one suction stroke will be there, and through which a various hole in a starter disc. These are the small hole you will observe there. Okay, these are the small hole will be there. Through the holes, the fuel air mixture pass from the byster to the engine. Okay, this disc can be manually rotated using a starter lever. This is a starting pedal will be there. With the help of this, we can rotate this using a starting lever or pedal, so that it can be adjusted the fuel per fuel air requirements. So as per our need, how much air or fuel is required, this will be operated with the help of this starter pedal. For example, larger hole in a disc will be used in winter because more fuel will be needed to start engine in winters. So this is an explanation about in winter season. Now working during idling and slow running of the engine. What is in working in second is what is slow running conditions. So idling situation when vehicle engine is running but not at a vehicle speed. This condition normally occurs when a red light turn of the vehicles and the engine is powered on. So in idle state there is no load on the engine, but all engine friction needs to be removed to keep engine running, guys. So during the ideal position or slow running condition, the throttle valve is fully closed. The throttle is fully closed in an ideal situation, guys. Okay. So suction created by the suction stroke is directly work on the pilot jet. So there is a use of the one pilot jet in that situations. A pilot jet is a jet that receive the fuel from main line. These are the main line will be there, guys. Okay. These are the main lines. And in idle state, the throttle valve is closed and proper pressure is not created to suck the fuel from the main jet. So the suction stroke of the engine directly sucks the air fuel mixture from the pilot jet. The fuel from the pilot jet will be incorporated and mixed with the air suck. Okay, from this like that. And the air suck from the pilot air blend orifice outside the environment. So the enriched mixture from the pilot jet will be sent directly to the engines under a located throttle valves. A useless screw is present. If you observe there a air screw, this arrangement air screw. So useless screw is present that near the opening of the pilot jet. The opening of the pilot jet will be, guys, theirs. Okay. So this pilot jet will be opening by using this air screw will be theirs to control the engine speed by controlling the amount of air fuel mixture to the engines. So bypass arrangement also provided just above the throttle so that if the pressure is close enough to the throttle valve to suck the air fuel mixture from pass through the arrangement. The throttle valve will open slightly when this nearby the arrangements. So this is the conditions. And third condition is required during the accelerations. So during the acceleration, load occurs on the engine. Maximum load is developed. Additional air fuel mixture is required by the engine during the acceleration. To give the engine proper acceleration, an additional acceleration pump injector is provided to the right of the float chambers. This is the acceleration jet is used during the very high speed. Okay, and from this it passes like that. Additional fuel mixture is required during the acceleration chamber. So additional jet is provided on the top of the main jet. Okay, top of the main jet will be guys there. There is the idling, there is this, and this is the acceleration jet will be there. So additional jet is provided on the top of the main jet to supply the additional fuel supplied using acceleration pump. So this acceleration pump is diaphragm. If you observe here in a diaphragm situation, guys, connected to the pedal, there is also the one pedal situations. Okay, this accelerating pedal will be there. Okay, it also connected to the throttle valve. This accelerating pedal is connected to the throttle valve. These are connections. When we press the acceleration pedal, acceleration pump will be operate, and at the same time the throttle valve will be open simultaneously. And as soon as acceleration pedals are present, press the acceleration pump will operate and provide additional fuel through the extra jet. So when acceleration pedals are released, the acceleration pump will be soak up the fuel from the fuel chamber and store it, provide the additional fuels. So these are the simple construction and working of the Solex carburetors. So in next lecture we will be discuss the automatic choke. Okay, so I stop here. Thank you guys.